Now, back to the Insiders with James Ham and Kyle Edson, brought to you by Jiffy Lube on ESPN 1320.
All right, we're doing it live. Jacob Wilson.
How's it going? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we got you. How are
awesome.
you, man?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Hanging in
Good,
there.
man.
This
Awesome.
is Jacob Wilson, future American League Rookie of the Year, joining us on ESPN 1320. So you step into Major League Baseball and you just start raking right away. Can you let us in on the secret of what makes hitting Major League pitching so easy?
There's really no secret there. I think kind of going, looking back at everything that kind of goes on pregame, you gotta, the coaches give a great scouting report on all the pitchers that we see, and then just being able to, talk to teammates who have faced the guys previously in the past, and just being able to kind of build a plan around, how we're gonna go, attack this pitcher today, and I couldn't, do it without anybody in the clubhouse, all the, players, coaches, staff, and then it's been an awesome year. We have a great clubhouse, so it's been, very, very exciting to be a part of it, and looking forward to the future.
When you were young, of course, your dad is a former Major League ball player. I read a story about you guys playing stickball all the time.
Oh, yeah.
This is how you learned how to do this crazy contact thing. We keep looking at your contact rate and everything else. Just how wild is it that it doesn't matter what level you're at, it seems to translate so far?
Yeah, it's definitely pretty cool for me. A lot of hard work, like you said, with the stickball with dad back when I was growing up. I think it definitely stemmed from that. We kind of just had a very skinny kind of wood bat, and it was a tennis ball, and he just throw as far as he can, try to strike me out all the time when I was 12 through about 16 years old, and that definitely helped the contact rate for sure. I kind of always like this, and once I kind of hit high school, it was always kind of contact first. For me, I didn't really like trying to do too much power. I felt like when I put the ball in play, it kind of helped the team overall more than me trying to hit homers. So I think it's just being able to kind of take that skill set and really being able to practice it pregame too. When you have a velo machine, you go in there really just trying to warm up your hand-eye coordination, and just being able to use the tools in the cage before the game, before we actually step on the field. So it's a lot of preparation that goes into it.
Talking with A's rookie shortstop Jacob Wilson here. Jake, you mentioned that you found that making contact was kind of your way to help the team more than hitting the ball over the fence. Feels like in Major League Baseball, there's such an emphasis on these three true outcomes, right? It's exit velocity, it's launch angle. It's all about those things, and then you step in, and it's very contact oriented. Has there been any resistance to that? Or is just the fact that you're hitting 360 or whatever it is, and coaches are just like, yeah, go keep getting on base?
Yeah, definitely, talking to the coaches this year, they really have just kind of told me just keep doing your thing, go out there and keep having the same approach, same plan. I mean, you look at guys with like Luis Arias who go out there and they win batting titles every year, and his exit velos and launch angles aren't, like everybody else's, and he goes out and wins batting titles every year. So that's kind of, something that I want to do in my game is go out there and just kind of hit for batting average, put the ball in play, and overall, you put pressure on defenses to, make plays in, tough spots. And, sometimes, they can make an error and then you're on first base. And then, we got, Sotos from Rooker and Langoliers hitting right behind me. So, those guys have a lot of power. And if I get on base and they hit a homer, that's 2 runs on the board. So for me, like I said, just putting the ball in play, trying to find any way to get on base.
I've been yelling at my TV and here on the air with Kyle for the first month of the season that I wanted to see you bat second or even first, second. Like, I need you in front of those guys, setting the table. Just how big has that move been for you to move up to the top of the order? And of course, it's because you were batting like 370, batting 6th or 7th. But, how cool is that to move up the order and just get a couple extra at bats every game?
Yeah, it's super cool. Be able to play for a major league team and hit at the top of the lineup is always been the goal for me. And whether it's lead off or hitting second or even wherever it is. I mean, you only hit there kind of once to start out the game, and then you're in a different spot throughout the rest of the game. But it's awesome to be able I'm either leading off and starting the game out for our team, or I'm hitting second behind usually Lawrence Butler. So for me, it's a great spot. Like I said, it doesn't really matter where I hit. I go up there and try to do this, have the same approach every single at bat. But it is pretty cool for me to be able to hit at that top of the lineup.
A's shortstop Jacob Wilson joining us here on the Insiders on ESPN 1320. All right, so small story real quick. In high school, I played with a guy named Drew Gagnon who got drafted out of high school. Then he went to Long Beach and got drafted out of Long Beach. Had a cup of coffee in the majors, but we had a team pitching coach, and the team pitching coach just immediately after Drew's parents went and was like, "Hey, he's got his own thing going on. Like, don't mess with him." Pitching coach immediately jumped on him and was like, "Hey, you need to be doing X, Y, and Z, like all this crazy stuff, right?"
Yeah.
Do you have, or I guess at this point probably not, but did you ever have a coach, because you have a very like frenetic batting stance? It's definitely a little bit different.
Yeah.
Did you ever have a coach tell you like, "Hey, don't do that"?
I've had a couple coaches on the way kind of just try to tell me to slow down a little bit, and that for me, I think I'm just I'm a type of athlete where I need to be moving all the time. I need to be twitchy. I need to just kind of constantly be moving. So for me, slow is not really a part of my game. So once I got here, they kind of just let me be. They kind of just let me hit, and they haven't tried to change it once here. So it's been great just to be able to work with these coaches and know that they trusted me in the weird batting stance that I have, and it's just being able to go out there and trust the coaches and knowing that they trusted me, and being able to go put at bats together, and like you said, try to put runs on the board.
We don't say weird, we say different.
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 We
Yes.
appreciate it. Yeah. When I watch you standing in the batter's box, you remind me of Carney Lansford. And I don't. Number one, do you know who Carney Lansford is? But
I
also,
do not.
you've never watched.
Come on.
This is you don't know who Carney Lansford is?
I don't know.
Okay. So former A's great third baseman. He moved all over as well, and I'm very surprised that you haven't heard the comparison to Carney Lansford.
Comes up a lot
because of the way that you move in the box. So number one, you need to watch some Carney Lansford. Great hitter. he batted 336 twice in the majors, in a season. So, but still, I think it's interesting because you're a little bit of a throwback in that way. Even like the Ichiro sort of comp, where your connection and your ability to get the bat on the ball is just amazing.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Are you surprised at like you came up pretty quickly? Are you surprised at how, I don't want to say I don't want to say how easy the transition has been to Major League Baseball, but are you surprised at how well it's gone?
Yeah, I mean, definitely, for sure, just being able to, see, how everything's been going so far. But like I said, it kind of going back, being able to lean on the coaching staff, before the game, and then the teammates, just talking to them about the pitchers that they face. Because for me, it's mostly my first time facing all these new pitchers, and these guys who've been playing for multiple years now. You kind of talk to them, and they've already seen what their stuff looks like. So to get the insight from them is huge for me as a hitter, just to be able to understand a little bit kind of how the ball is going to move, or what do they like, what do they like to do to get you out. And, just being able to, it's, I wouldn't say it's easy, but being able to talk to these guys makes it a little bit easier than going up there with like knowing nothing about the pitcher. So, definitely, a lot of credit goes back to the teammates and the coaching staff as well. Just, be able to build a plan, before I even go up to the plate.
Your climb to go from, again, single A, triple A, just straight to the majors. You're not the only one with A's that's doing this right now, right? Because we have Nick Kurtz, who was playing 10 months ago and at the college, or drafted 10 months ago at the college level. Have you had conversations with them about just like being yourself and how to settle in and sort of let the game come to you?
Yeah, we've had conversations for sure. Obviously, he got here quicker than I did, but just being able to just talk to him. Hey, dude, it's the same game. Obviously these guys are all the best in the world at what they do, but just go out there and just have fun and be yourself, and just enjoy every bit of it. It's just it's fun to be here, be on the stage, and obviously he's earned the right to be here. With the stats that he put up in the minor leagues, and then even now in the big leagues, just watching him do his thing has been pretty awesome. Not a lot of people can get here, like you said, 10 months after they got drafted. And I was on deck for his first homer, so that was pretty cool to watch. And I'm just he just go out there, he keeps doing his thing, and just he's not really stressing too much. So it's been great to see how his mental side's been working too.
A shortstop Jacob Wilson joining us here on the Insiders, ESPN 1320. Scuffling a little bit lately here into mid-May. You mentioned the clubhouse. Now it's a good clubhouse. What's the vibe over the last few games? Lost a few in a row. What's the vibe going into the series against the Halos?
Yeah, I think obviously, this past road trip was not how we wanted to go. Obviously, win the first one and then losing 5 in a row is not really, the greatest road trip. But lucky for us, we play 130 more games. So it's like we can't let this 5 game stretch, dictate how the next 5 games are gonna go because you play so many. So it's a small sample size, and we talked about it, like, hey, like keep your heads up, like we're gonna be okay. It's a tough road trip, playing the Dodgers and the Giants back to back. Obviously we want to be up there with those good teams, but sometimes, the game just doesn't fall your way. So for us, it's just, being able to, go into this series, keep our heads up and know that we're still a great team, and just keep the positive vibes going, try not to get too down on ourselves, and just, make sure everybody's still in a good headspace.
Jacob Wilson, a shortstop. Really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for jumping on with us on the Insiders here on ESPN 1320. Keep
Awesome.
breaking, and can't wait to keep watching you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey, buddy.
Thanks,
Jacob. There he goes. Jacob Wilson, future American League Rookie of the Year, FYI.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable in modern baseball, watching a player that you called him a throwback, like watching a player go up there with a plan to, hey, I'm going to punch one through the right side. Hey, 5.5 holes open. I'm going to just yank one through there.
Or I'm going to go down right over the first base bag and right down the right field line.
Yep. I'm going to.
He's just phenomenal contact hitter.
It's so difficult against modern pitching to be that. And the fact that he's found success this early in his career with it, pretty cool. Really fun player to watch. I highly encourage everybody to go check him out at Sutter Health Park this weekend this week, 4-game set against the Los Angeles Angels.
Chris Ochoa's
Los Angeles Angels.
That's right.